What's happening? It's Matt. I've been talking about doing this video for a little while. It's like a Premier League prediction video. I've got my brother Tom on the call with me here. Excuse how ghetto the setup is. I've literally got nothing in place. I'm just recording a Zoom meeting. And to go through the table and whatnot, I'm just using the Premier League app on my phone. But yeah, what are you feeling, Tom? How are you feeling for the new season? What do you reckon? I mean, we'll talk about like everything properly when we get down to us on the table. But how are you feeling?
I don't know. It's going to be a bit of a weird one, if I'm being honest with you. I think they always go into every year and go, "Oh, it's going to be the closest one yet," and stuff like that. I think in the last couple of years, it's going to be like the most interesting one. I think obviously with the coronavirus stuff that's gone on lately and all the transfers that have happened recently. I don't know. It's going to be a bit tight, but I think it's just going to, after a while, it'll just be the norm again.
What do you reckon to them letting X amount of fans in?
It's good. I mean, obviously Brighton done it in the pre-season game against Chelsea, and then they were talking about the West Ham Arsenal ladies next week. They're back in. I think it's good. I think like if that area is safe, so say for example, say the derby was the first game of the season on Sunday. Well, if Liverpool if it hasn't really spiked, if it hasn't like really gone up that much, and it's the numbers are quite low and it seems safe, by all means go for it. If you can distance people, like I've always said it's going to be season ticket holders that go in first anyway. If you can split them up and have so many in one area, so many in another area, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think.
Have you seen what Spurs are meant to be doing?
Highest bidder.
Highest bidder, and that's vile. I think that's absolutely vile.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
Yeah.
But stuff. If I was a Tottenham fan, I just refuse to do it. I'd say no. I'm not being funny or nothing, but they're giving up, especially down south. Do you know what I mean? They pay enough as it is. I wouldn't
Yeah, Arsenal's prices are mad, aren't they?
Yeah. It's the highest league, isn't it?
I think it is, yeah. Well, it definitely was. So no, the away tickets were like 75 quid before they'd done the subsidising.
It's a joke, though. It's disgusting. Nah, I think it'll be good. It's just, I think at the end of the day, I always say, it's just common sense. Do you know what I mean? It's not you worry about. It's the people around you that don't follow common sense. So I think if it's done right, do you know what I mean? It works. America are doing it, and I know it's everything that's going on there lately, but it seems to be working.
Speaking of, people won't know. Me and Tom have been massive wrestling fans for years since we were kids. AEW are letting fans in now, aren't they? Did you see that guy jump the rail at John Moxley last night?
No.
Nah, I'll have to send you that on Twitter. Basically, there's a fan cam version of it. On the broadcast, you just sort of see John Moxley look down at the floor and he makes comments, but you can't really make out what's happening. If you look, there's a guy who comes down the stairs as Moxley coming around the back, and he goes to jump the barrier, and the security guard just pure spears him as he jumps the barrier. It's mad. But this is the thing, the only thing I'm worried about is, like you're saying, is common sense. I went to Wales last weekend, and I've already spoke to you about this.
Yeah.
There's no social distance is not a thing there. They don't give a shit. They don't care. We were queued, there was bars with massive queues outside, and they weren't distancing in the queue. There was big groups of people just chatting away, and it was just madness everywhere. But I think at the games, because in terms of serving food and drink and that, it's going to be very limited, if any. They might be able to send one person per household down.
Yeah.
At a time, something like that. Obviously, they don't really know what's happening, but it's going to be that limited. I think it's probably going to be more trouble than it's worth, in the long run, because you'll get some idiot, won't you? There'll be one or two, absolute morons who do something stupid.
Yeah, but I think, if you look at it now, every time you go out, you have to wear a mask. When you go into areas, into shops and all that sort of stuff. I'm going to burp, sorry. You have to wear a mask. So, you're talking about it there. So, if you're letting people in, I'd say you've got to, obviously, there's got to be a gap between queues. You let people in, they have to keep the mask on. Even if they're downstairs on the concourse, they've got to keep the mask on. When they go up, keep it on until you're divided. Then when you split up, then you can take it off or leave it on because this is what I don't get.
But the argument is that because you're in an outdoor stadium, it's an outdoor space, and that's what I've seen the argument for a few people. But to me, it's not. You're in an arena. That's not outdoors.
But this is what I don't get. Especially now with with all the players and the substitutes and that. So they all get tested religiously. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously talking to people about it, like the amount of times you get tested is unbelievable. You can't go into a ground if you've been tested positive. So everyone in there is negative. Everyone in there doesn't have corona.
Yeah, but that's you don't
So
know if they've got it because it's the last 2 weeks, isn't it? So it takes there's that incubation period. There's that 2 week incubation period. Like it's like me. Like I'm saying, obviously, I said to you, it wouldn't surprise me if next week, because it's now been a week since I come back from Wales, if I started showing symptoms, it really wouldn't surprise me. So in that meantime, I could have gone to a game and brushed next to someone in a queue or gone the loo or something, whatever. I might have it.
yeah.
I've passed it on. Do you know what I mean? Like, so what are you meant to test 2 weeks beforehand to know that you don't have it at the time? Because there's no way of knowing unless you test 2 weeks beforehand. So it's hardly working, isn't it? Like, we'd have no chance. Like, God, how many games did we miss last season? Maybe 2 or 3. City, Sheffield United, and
Dingo Man United.
No,
we Dingo.
Just before lockdown, I think we missed 2, didn't we?
West Ham and Crystal Palace.
Yeah. So like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Like, we'd have no chance of going at the minute. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's only going to be down to the way it should be season ticket holders. So if that's the case, then like you ballot somebody. Oh, you're going to Burnley game on the 4th of October. Let's say what it is. I don't know what the dates are. You're going to Burnley game 4th of October. Do you have to do a test 2 weeks prior to that?
I'd say yeah. I think though, like if you're going to let people back in, so obviously they're going to have to pay. Like they'll pay for it and that, like for the ticket. So I think the club should pay for the kit, or the Premier League, like the Premier League itself. Like,
but
so
you can get them on the NHS for it. Like I've already done one, haven't I?
yeah,
free.
like, all right, that sounds. So but then it would be maybe you'd have to do like a subsection where it's just for Premier League fans. It's not for people who are genuinely sick. It's all we're testing to see if they, if they attend or not. So but that's why I think the Premier League should pay for it. So if you say, well, every ground we're going to let 100 fans in, if the area is okay, well, then the Premier League should pay for those 100 kits. And then obviously you say like 2 weeks before, so there's always like a 2 week gap in between where like they get tested and then they're safe, okay, so you can go in then. But then if they test positive, then you don't give it to somebody else to go in their place. They just don't go.
So do you think? Yeah. So do you think like the Premier League's testing should coincide with like the team? So obviously I don't know how it works. I just know they get tested like you said religiously. They get tested all the time. So do you think that Arsenal should send their testing off with the ballot of their fans who will go in the game?
Yeah, because you're going to be in the same environment, aren't you? It's like there's literally no difference in it whatsoever. I don't think it's right, especially talk about prices. Now I know you say you can get stuff for free, but again, that's taken away from the people that need it, the people who genuinely are sick. Yeah. So if you have it set up where people can start, especially from a government standpoint, if you're trying to get them back in because you want more money for the economy, you want it to grow and you don't want it to pause and all that sort of stuff, you have to go out your way to make sure that people. So not everyone's got money. Like, let's not forget, people losing their jobs now. I know people who are still furloughed, but if they get a chance to go to a game, like a dad and a lad get a chance to go to the game, you shouldn't have to, apart from paying for your ticket and like obviously the travel, you shouldn't have to go out your way to pay for a testing kit. It should be provided for you, and then either by the club or by the Premier League, and then it all gets sent off together. As I say, because you're in the same environment, so they should be doing it for you. It shouldn't be you doing it for them. It should be them doing it for you. Like, I'm not being funny. I think every player said it. Like, playing without fans, it's terrible. I can't remember who it was who said it. Oh, it was Ander Herrera. He said the Champions League final was shit. Yeah. So it shouldn't be down to fans to have to go out their way to go back. They should be doing it for you. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the way I've always looked at it. Footy, like, I know footy's a business. It's not a sport no more, it's a business. And I just think that, especially now, everyone, even work, like, officers, I get emails all the time being like, oh, you should be, doing stuff that you enjoy with your family. You need to be, like, with your loved ones and stuff like that. Like, it's not all about, life's not about work. And so, like, everyone's telling you, you need to change your priorities. I think football should do the same and should go, okay, do you know what, like, take the loss, admit we're going to lose money. You don't have to make. I mean, I know you do to keep stuff, sustainable, but 1 year you can say, well, John, we're going to go above and beyond for the fans because they do it for us all the time. Like,
yeah, I think what most, like you said, it's a business now. What I think what's been lost is, like, especially in the Premier League, not so much the lower leagues, is how it's so important to people's lives. Like, this isn't something I've spoken about out, openly on camera before, but we used to go. We had season tickets for years with my dad, and it was all we ever spoke about. Like, he's passed away now, and but like it was always the footy, weren't it? It was like we used to go all the time. We had a proper routine. We would always go to Spello. We'd always be in and out. Everywhere we went, we'd be here in the summer bar. You know what I mean? Like you had your routine, didn't you? And like I think that's been lost. Is like how religious it is. Like even me now, like I speak about it daily. I mean daily. Like I went out with Lucy and her brother and that for breakfast before, and like one of the first things he was talking about our new signings and that. So I think it's lost on the Premier League. Definitely on the Premier League is how much it means to people, and like it's good that they got it back on. It is good, but it's not the same, is it? Like but at the same time, there's nothing they can do apart from try, which I think that's what they are doing. But I agree with you there. Like they should be trying to give back as much as the fans are giving back. So you look at like the likes of Wigan, where the fans are trying to save the club now. So that club's getting like no money from gate receipts. So the fans are trying to own it. The fans are sponsoring them. Like that's going to be so hard for them. But then, like the Premier League are like, FFP sanctions aren't going to take place this season. So Wolves, who got slapped with a fine, a very minimal fine, let's be honest, got slapped with a fine, but for the Europa League and spending too much money to do that, I've just slapped 40 million on a 17-year-old who's decent on FM. And don't get me wrong, I'm no football scout. Like he's probably good, but that 40 million pounds on a teenager when their community outreach is good, but it just doesn't seem like an awful lot's gone. It's the same for us. Like that's one of the only criticisms I'll have of Everton during this is Everton and the community have been nowhere from what I can tell. And I don't know if you agree with that. Like you see, like fair enough, we've kept the staff on full pay. We've not furloughed anyone. We're not doing anything like that. But in terms of community outreach, I know there's not an awful lot you can do, but it doesn't seem like anything's been done.
I don't know. I think like it's one of them. It's like mixed. I don't know if I'm going to be honest with you. Just because it's not been reported doesn't mean it's not happening. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
Like, I think, realistically, this happened 10, 15 years ago when Twitter and that like went around, and it was only MySpace.
there was no massive dub boss man either though.
Nonsense. There's no AFTV and all that sort of stuff. Like if that weren't there, well, realistically, you wouldn't know what's going on. Like you wouldn't know that James Rodriguez is moving hotels and the odd on the tight on a Friday night.
No, it's no Jermaine Defoe spotters in the BHS cafe. Raquel May's on bulge seat.
Exactly, but you wouldn't know anything. So I think I can fully imagine like Everton on a club where they're gonna throw fans by the wayside and go, well, we're not gonna do anything to help them. You see all the videos, like going back to social media, you see all the videos of like players calling fans saying, we're just checking up on it. Holgate done it with was he like in his 90s? Like that fella. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it does happen, all right, it doesn't get reported every 20 seconds, but I can fully imagine that like things are there in place for fans who might be on their own, who might not be able to be in touch with anybody. You do have to self-isolate, and I've been doing it since March.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You think about it, like I think it's gone very quick now, but it's been like 6 months, I think.
Well, I moved 2 days after the lockdown, so I moved from Liverpool to Bracknell 2 days after lockdown was announced, and that was 6 months ago. And I feel like nothing. That's just gone on it.
So can you imagine in that time, like being told you have to like stay in the house on your own, and because you've got conditions or something, you can't see anybody, you can't even see your family, like they're looking through a window and all that sort of shit. Like I don't know, I think stuff would have been done, but I don't think you don't have to praise yourselves on Twitter every 20 seconds being like, oh well, we've delivered masks, we've done this, we've done that. keep it to yourself. Like, it's nice to see, and it's good, like, you know, for everyone to be like, oh, well, I'm proud of my club, but then at the same point of time, it's like, well, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't tell you every time I do something. Do you know what I mean? I'm not gonna like go, oh, well, you know, give a homeless man a fiver today. I'm not gonna text you every time I do it. Like,
actually not on social media for the likes.
oh,
but I think that's my argument though, is that like, okay, yeah, I see what you say. I think it probably has been done, but like, going back to like how much it means to people and how much it's like part of their daily routine or community and that. Personally, I would have just liked to see just a little bit more, even if it was just like a weekly or a monthly newsletter, to be like, oh, Everton community did this, or you know, and I know that Everton and Liverpool are partnered during COVID and like in the past anyway, to be like, because to join the community outreach more. But like, even if it was just anything, just like an article, just a newsletter, anything to say like this has been happening, because they're probably, you know, there's probably a lot of lonely people out there. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if you went at home, my mum would be home alone, and it would have been 6 months where she'd be on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people in a lot worse situations than, you know, that I'm in, that you're in, and, you know, probably a lot of people watching this are in. So I think first and foremost, getting it back on just to the point where it's televised was massive.
Yeah.
You did it really safely. I don't think there was any scares apart from the first weekend, was there? The Norwich Tottenham players, do you remember that?
Yeah, they tested positive.
I think
tested positive.
I think that was like the only scare they had, weren't it? And then they had a couple of staff members who could then just isolate. So, you know, I think they smashed it. I think they absolutely smashed it. So hopefully they can roll that round into getting the fans back in. And you know, I was speaking to Lucy about it yesterday. Like, I'd love to be able to go to Goodison to go and watch a game, but we can't. We just simply can't at the minute. So, you know,
it's how much you miss it. Like, even before the lockdown, though, like I remember getting tickets for the Watford game, first home game of the season, just walking in being like, we've missed this so much. And then like, you know, I remember when we played Wolves on the Sunday, me and you were going into town on the Saturday, and then we just looked at each other and went like, we're getting tickets for tomorrow then. Like, you know, just like straight buying them and that. And like, I think just going off that, it does mean a lot to go. Like, even, you know, touching on my dad and stuff like that, like, it is having that thing of like, this is what you look forward to. And I don't know,
people bond, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you've just got to, yeah, I think, but still seeing, I mean, to be fair, watching Everton after fucking Project Restart, no. And if I went like 100%, like I would have had like a heart attack or something by now, because just watching it.
Well, just to butt in, I was looking at that the other day, and if you actually look at our form from it, and our results,
we won like 2 games.
We won, I think, 2. It was just rubbish. Where's our last couple of results? So we lost to Bournemouth, beat Sheffield United, drew with Villa last minute, got battered by Wolves, drew with Southampton, which I don't know how, lost to Spurs, where we were toothless again, beat Leicester again, don't know how that happened because we were being crap, and beat Norwich. Like, it's not the same, is it? Like, it's not. Like, you can say what you want, it's not the same, but I think the fact they've got it back on, they've got it televised, and that is good, which is going to lead me on to the next point. Do you think they should all be televised again? Because personally, I do. They've shown they can do it. So, yeah, I think it's snide now that they're not.
Yeah, I think I, from the business standpoint, you understand, because it's like, I mean, they don't need it, but, you know, you look at Sky and you're like, well, you know, we can't just keep giving stuff out for free because we need something back in return. So I fully understand the fact of, you know, they still have to make a living. But from the other side of it, it's like, well, like I seen it on Twitter before, you know, like, you can get like 7 years for illegally streaming games if you get caught doing it.
But do you not think they bottleneck fans into that? Because, like, think of, like, again, I know we're talking about Everton quite a bit at the minute, and that's not the whole point of this, but, like, yesterday's stream, it's behind a paywall to watch a pre-season friendly, which, firstly, I think is wrong anyway. You shouldn't have to do that. But the official stream didn't work for the first 15 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
So do you not think that they're bottlenecking people into, and the Premier League are doing the same? They've just lost a £500 million deal with China. But then why aren't they making their own streaming service where even if it was like Netflix, you pay $7.99 a month, something like that, and you click on this Premier League app on your Xbox, on your laptop, your phone, whatever, and you can pick whatever game you want. They've proven they can do it, so why aren't they doing that?
I think like it all comes down to sponsorships and TV rights and stuff like that though, because I think if you look at obviously Amazon, like they smashed it.
It was amazing, man.
Absolutely smashed it. But I've said to you for so many years, I don't get why the Premier League don't do what the NFL do, where you can buy a season ticket for your team. So if you still have like TV games, so if BT always have the lunchtime game, so there's only one game of a Saturday that's on at lunchtime, and then there's still one game that's on of an evening, and then you still get your Super Sunday. So they don't change. But then all your 3 o'clock kickoffs, they're on a season ticket. So if they charge, say, a tenner a month for Everton 3 o'clock games that you can get through Sky, it's like a Sky season ticket. So I can watch Everton all the time. Sky is still getting the money for it. I'm not streaming it illegally. I can't go to every home and away game. And then, but you've still got your normal games shown on telly, so you're not losing out on anything. In fact, you're gaining more because more people go, well, especially Liverpool fans, oh, well, if I can't go to see them, so yeah, I am going to spend $10 a month, and I'll sit there.
Well, is a Sky Sports subscription not a Liverpool season ticket anyway?
Yeah, it is. I mean,
it's a good idea though, because NBC do it, don't they?
Yeah, they do, and I just don't understand like why no one's ever turned out and capitalised on it. I think if you can, if I lived in Asia, if I lived in America, I can watch these games. I remember being in San Francisco, and it was like the first time I was doing Camp America. 7 o'clock in the morning, I woke up, turned on the TV in the hotel, and Liverpool playing Aston Villa.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But it weren't getting shown here. It was I think it was like a 3 o'clock kickoff or something, and they had it on. It's like, so why can I watch it? Well, people at home can't.
Yeah, it was the same when I was in Jamaica last year.
Yeah, I get it's like viewing figures, and I get like it's a lot. The country's bigger, so the Premier League's going to benefit viewing wise, and people are going to buy into it. Fully get it. But then you're just taking away from the people that live here. You're taking away from all of them. So then we've got to go find streams to watch the games, but so then I can get into trouble for that because the country's bigger. I mean, you can't. That's not our fault.
7-year stretch for streaming illegally.
Yeah, selling Cody boxes. You should give something back though. You should do something like that. Talk about the corona tests and stuff like that. I think it's about time that the Premier League and Premier League clubs in general. I know it sounds like doing outreach stuff and going into communities and that, but do it where it matters the most.
Yeah.
If you can help out and go, well, we can provide this stream, as you say, we can provide this streaming service. If Everton are playing a pre-season friendly at home, we can't go watch it. Don't make me pay for it. As I say, like, people are still on furlough. I know like 4 or 5 people who have lost their jobs, and people who still work in my work who are getting told they're losing their jobs in a month. So, and then if you're telling me that if that was me, and I want to watch Everton, I've still got to pay $5 to watch them.
Yeah.
Give me for free. I feel like as a fan, I feel like I deserve it. We're sitting here wearing like the new kit. It's not as if like we don't want to give them the money, but it's like, well, why am I giving you 60 quid for this?
Yeah.
And then, well, give me another $5 to watch the game.
You've got bills and all sorts, and
yeah.
But well, that. I say we're meant to be like talking about the Premier League, just the teams and predictions, and that. I think that can roll us nicely onto Arsenal because obviously they furloughed and let go of 30 members of staff, and then 55, and then they went and bankrolled Willian on a 300k deal. They've got Ozil on 300k deal. They spent they've just signed Gabriel from under our noses. They gave Saka a new deal. Potentially giving Maitland-Niles a new deal, which we can talk about when we're speaking about Wolves, because obviously there's a bit of to do there. Aubameyang's yet to sign his new deal, but I'm assuming that's going to be a good 300 grand a week. Yeah, I totally get it. It's as you say, it's a business now, so I don't think they're really thinking about the fan engagement of it, which is mental, because obviously, as Ander Herrera rightfully stated, football without fans is nothing. So. Yeah, should we actually roll on now? Because I think we spent about 15 minutes chatting shit about the Premier League there. Yeah, so what I'll do is I'm looking at the Premier League table on my phone. I'll go through, I'll look at the squads, we can mention transfers, and then I'll ask you for a prediction of where you think that team's going to finish, and then obviously I can give you mine. So yeah, first of all, Arsenal, Arteta. I think he's done a cracking job. 2 trophies in 6-7 months.
Yeah,
I think he's done a really good job.
But
Yeah. The way they're playing though, and the goals they're scoring.
yeah, it's good. I mean, to be fair, like I think it's a continuation in it of like the way Guardiola plays, and I think Emery and especially Wenger, like it's that same style of football. I think he's tweaked it, and he's just like where they were going where they were going over the lines. He's like rubbing out and going, no, you do it this way. You do this. Stop. You don't have to like do something and then carrying on doing it. It's like get from point A to point B the right way, like the right football way how they look at it. But I think he's done a great job. I think the thing is though, it's this short gap thing though. It's like, well, you come in, it's fresh straight away. But now you're doing it over a full season, especially when the break's been so short. And they've had it worse than a lot of other teams because obviously they had the Cup final and then the Charity Shield, and there's no winter break. So they're in all these competitions in the back in Europe. So he's got to go through all that, manage it all now, and then try and recreate the same thing. I think they're going to look at it and go, well, if we take like another FA Cup and Champions League, then they'll be, if they just take fourth, they'll be happy. But it's going to be such a struggle because the teams are in and around them. I think if you take out Lampard, they've all like managed. Do you know what I mean? They've all been at that high level before. You'd say Solskjaer as well, but like Mourinho, Guardiola, Klopp.
They've got more experience, haven't they?
Yeah, so they know how to like kind of handle it. So really, you throw Ancelotti into the mix. Espirito Santo at Wolves, it's just so underrated in my opinion. I think so. If you look at it from that point, it's like, well, there's like 4 or 5 Bielsa. There's 4 or 5 teams that are going to be fighting for that 4th Champions League place because the top 3 is already set. You can see it happening, but then like it's where the others all fit into it. I just think that's going to be like the bit of a struggle. So I can't see. I think they'll have a good season. I think that there's going to be blips, and I think they will, struggle at times. But I think he's just going to have them. This is where I don't get though. So everyone says that this is the lowest that they've ever finished. So maybe they finished like 8th.
Something like that, yeah.
Well, see, I was watching Premier League years the other day, and it was I think it was their first season in the league. They finished 14th.
Yeah, they did finish 8th. So I'm just checking it now.
Yeah, but then they finished like 14th, like in the first season or the second season. So I don't know where they're getting that from, but yeah, I think they'll be okay. Maybe FA Cup again.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Fifth in an FA Cup, I think.
Yeah, I think they'll go back into Europe. I think for the first year, it's a success for anyone, not really, but for them it will be. I think he'll kick on, but it's how he adapts to when it does get tough. I don't think he's really had it tough as of yet. The only real blip he had was the Europa League with Olympiacos, where they should have went through. But
I feel like they've got an identity now, though, which is stuff they've not had since Wenger.
Yeah, they do, and it's good. It's good that he's gone. I think like when going back to Everton because it's the only thing I can do. But like when the conversation of would you have him at Everton, it was like, oh, we need an established manager. We need someone who knows what he's doing, and we need someone who can take us that next step. You look what he's done at Arsenal, and you think, well, you know what? Like what would they have done at Everton? Would he have would we have won the FA Cup? Would we have finished higher than where we finished? I'm not saying that's Ancelotti's fault, it's the team's fault because the team's terrible. But you do wonder, like, well, what would he have done if he was at us? I think he'll do well. I'd say maybe fifth in the FA Cup. Yeah. And after he'll fully go Champions League. It's like the ambition now, and he'll throw everything at it. They'll get it 2-3 years, and they'll be back in it.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah, I agree with that one. Villa next up. I think he literally avoided relegation on goal difference, was it? And that was a point, wasn't it? And the fact that, not that moment necessarily saved them, but the goal against Sheffield United, that wasn't given.
Well, that was the point, wasn't it?
Yeah, but obviously it's not. It's a 38-game season, do you know what I mean? It's not one thing that that helped them. Although it was one goal that kept them up, which is Grealish, who I'm surprised is still there. To be honest, I thought he would have gone, but I think if United hadn't signed Bruno, he'd have gone there. Just looking through now, not an awful lot there. News today they pulled out of the deal for Callum Wilson.
Yeah.
Which I think they need. But again, like they've gone through a lot of squad overhaul. They got rid of the director of football because obviously he spent £150 million worth on nonsense. First thing they did is they brought Matty Cash in from Forest, which I think is a good deal. He's a good player, good utility. He can play right back, can play right wing, can play centre mid. I think he's a good little addition. Other than that, though, you think that team finished, what was it, 17th?
17th, yeah.
Like just 17th on a point on the last day of the season. They've lost Reina, who I will never understand why they were playing Nyland.
I think
Reina.
Signed Reina, yeah.
I think they should have re-signed him, but he's gone. Is it Lazio he's gone to? He stayed in Italy, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I think it's Lazio, isn't it?
Yeah.
Me personally, I like Villa. I think they're gone. You know, I mean, Wesley, not great. Samatta, I don't think he's ready for this league. You got Keenan Davis, who's a young lad. He looks a handful, but again, not much there. Yeah, Grealish, Luis and McGinn, and then the defence. The defence isn't great. Tyrone Mings, by the way, personally, I think he's terrible. I think he's so overrated because he's English, and that's it. When he signed for Bournemouth, everybody was like, why have Bournemouth slapped that money on him? Do you know what I mean? But then obviously they doubled the money. But when he signed for Bournemouth in the first place, everyone was like, why has he gone there?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, I don't know, I'm on the same thing. I do like Villa. I think they're, very, in terms like history, very, very big. I think their problem, it's even when they were, the season they got relegated, they throw money at a lot of crap and just see if it sticks or not. I think even last year, you see how much money they'd spent and you see who they bought. And I think I've said this to you so many times, like them and QPR done it. They buy like all these players where in Europe, in like, in a different league, they play really well. Afonso Alves for Middlesbrough in the Dutch league absolutely smashed it. He scored 6 goals in one game, or 4 or 5 goals in one game.
Yeah.
For Heerenveen, and then comes to Middlesbrough and scores like 2 in a millennium. Like it's so difficult to adapt to. It's like a more competitive and tough league, and you're throwing it all in. You're going, well, in this league you can do this, you do this, you do this. Doesn't always work out. I think you look at I agree with you. I think the Callum Wilson one, it's good for Newcastle. Very, very good for Newcastle because they do need a striker. But if you're Villa, you're looking at it and going, well, 20 million pound for Callum Wilson, I think is really, really good business. I think you get your double figures a season if he's fit. All right, he's a bit injury prone, but you keep him fit, he's going to score goals for you. He's proven it the last 5 years. If I was Villa, I would have went all out, maybe offered them Samatta, money and Samatta, and threw it as like an exchange. Go, well, we can give you this player, maybe like on a loan. I think I agree with you. I think with Grealish, realistically, where's he going to go? If he moved, I think United, the way they play with, Rashford on the left and Martial up top, I don't think Grealish would have got in, especially now, and then it's going to be Fernandes, Van der Beek and Pogba. I think even if Fernandes didn't go, Grealish wouldn't have went to United. I don't think it would have worked out for him. That's just my opinion.
I think the only room for him really is maybe on that right-hand side because they use Greenwood and Dan James in rotations out there, and maybe Mata every now and again. Like I think that would have been his spot, but I don't think he's a right winger. I don't necessarily think he's a cam. I think he's a centre mid. He plays on the left, but I think he's a centre mid personally.
I think if you give him like a free roll, like just let him cut in and out, do whatever he wants to do. Obviously start him on the left, and then if he wants to get the ball, just come in to the middle, and then kind of do whatever you want to do there. But I don't know. I don't want to see them go down. I think they will struggle, but I think they'll maybe marginally stay up. I think there's other teams in the league that
Mm.
will certainly go down. I think
What position do you think then?
I think it'll be
narrow again.
Another 16th, 17th. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't see finishing. I'll be surprised if they finish higher, but I don't see them going down. I think you've got a couple of like little sparks where they'll drag games out.
Yeah. Okay. Down. Next, Brighton. Again, they've got a lot of good players, and then they've got a lot of players who you think are like, okay. Tariq Lamptey, like, he was great. They got him from Chelsea last season, and he looked really good. They've obviously just lost Shane Duffy to Celtic, but they got Ben White back, which I think was massive for them.
Yeah.
But that being said, like, he had a great season in the Championship, and Leeds offered, I think, at most 40 mil, I think was the highest bid they did, and they said no to it. Lewis Dunk, I think, again, is overrated because he's English. For me, I'm just looking through. They brought Joel Veltman in. I think that was a good little sign. He was cheap as well. I think that was that's a good, solid, experienced player. They lost Aaron Moy, which I can't believe they let him slip through. He's gone over to, is it Qatar he's gone? He's gone to Qatar or China, isn't he? China. Yeah, he's gone to China. I'm just looking through. So their midfield options now, in terms of first teamers, Stevens, Basuma, McAllister, I think he's a good player. He's good, really good player. Gross, Solly Marsh, Proper, and Lallana. I think if they can keep Lallana fit, they've got a bit of dynamism there at most between him and McAllister.
See, I'm one of them where I think they're going to go down, if I'm being honest with you.
You think?
I think, I don't know. I think if you look at them last season, me personally, I don't think they improved under. You look at how Putin finished, then you look at how Potter done. I think they didn't improve. I think
they had the new manager bounce, didn't they?
Yeah, but still though, like a lot of clubs have like a new manager and works. I think look at Marco Silva again at Everton first year, played well. Ronald Koeman's first year, Martinez's first year, they all play well. You kind of kept the same mentality of football, the same style of football, but it just doesn't work. I don't think they're competitive enough. I think they're the kind of team that they are nice. I don't think they want to go in and put like a solid foot there the way Liverpool, just in your face and they're horrible. They don't want to do that. They want to do a little passing about. They want to make it look nice and smart, and it doesn't always work off for them. I think I like Matt Ryan. I think he's a great keeper. I think Everton. I think he'd be a good backup keeper to buy. I'm just so biased at the minute, but do you know what I mean? I like talk about Everton, but Matty Ryan is someone that I do like. I think Dunk, I agree. When Tottenham were throwing stupid money at him, well, you look at Chris Smalling, for example. Is he better than Chris Smalling? I don't think he is.
I don't think he is.
And then I think
he's a good player. He's a good solid defender. But for Brighton, he's a good solid defender, and I think it ties into the Shay Gibbons a good goalkeeper category. Of Shay Gibbons looked fantastic when he was making 10 to 11 saves a game in a terrible Newcastle side. Went to City and was not the same goalkeeper because he had to make 4 or 5 saves a game, if that, and his concentration wasn't there. But that was something you wouldn't have seen at Newcastle because his concentration had to be there because it was constant bombardment, and I think similar with Brighton.
No, I agree. I think you put him in the same bracket of like maybe a Johnny Evans. Like Johnny Evans is a really, really good defender, but then you look at like English defenders in the Prem at the minute, Tarkowski and Ben Mee, like the two that stick in my head. I think they're so much better than what he is, but they get talked about in the same bracket. Do you know what I mean? Like John Stones, right? He has like his moments, and he has, like he can mess up, but at the same point of time, I think again he's a much better defender than what Lewis Dunk. Don't get me wrong, he's a great defender, but he's not like
he's not that level, is he?
Yeah, he does get like overhyped and that, but a lot of people do. Do you know what I mean? I think, I think Shane Duffy's like a big loss, if I'm being honest with you.
I wouldn't have got rid of him. I
think he's going to the Brighton game last year. You see him; he's very, very solid. He controls areas. He's very talkative. I think you need players like that in. I know Lewis Dunk, he seems like a really, really good leader, but there's just not enough there for me. Ben White, going on about him, he frustrated the fact that he didn't get the move. So just because he's staying doesn't mean that he's going to be, as good as what he was for Leeds. Because he might be frustrated the fact of going, well, why am I playing here? Do you know what I mean? He bought that Scalotto from Italy.
He's gone now.
Was he gone? And
then I'm just looking here at the defensive options. Centre back wise, they either play as a 4 or a 3. Centre back, sorry, it's a 2 centre back pair or a 3, depending on the formation they play. So they got Dunk, Webster, Ben White, Dan Burn, and Veltman. Veltman's more of a full back. Dan Burn is a centre back who's been playing at left back for them. And then their full back options are Lamptey and Bernardo.
Yeah. So Veltman's going to do well.
Exactly, yeah.
From Ajax, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be, De Ligt standard. Do you know what I mean? You've got to wait and see what happens. If he doesn't perform, then I can imagine every Brighton fan's just going to turn around and go, well, why the hell did we get rid of Shane Duffy?
Yeah. That's the pressure. I mean, he's 22, never made the first team appearance for them. He's had a good season alone at the Leeds. I think they should have cashed in. The way I see it, and if you've not made an impression first team wise by the age of 21,
you need
to get rid of them. But like you're saying, they've had Dunk and Duffy, who have been solid for them for years.
Yeah, I think players can get loaned out. Look at Tammy Abraham. I don't know how old he is, but he's been loaned out for a while and came back to start the season. Yeah, a really good first half. He kind of fell off towards the back end, but there's signs there that he can do it in the Prem. He didn't do it at Swansea, but for Chelsea he did do. I think you've got to be given the time and you've got to be given the right opportunity, but it depends what team you're playing in. If Leeds, I didn't see enough of them last year. I won't lie, I didn't really watch them, but if that's the style that suits them, if you're Brighton and you play a different style of football to what Leeds do, there's no guarantee that he's going to perform that same standard. Again, I know it's about you've got to take risks and you've got to take chances. With players, I fully understand it. But if you've got someone there who is fully established, he knows your system, he knows how they want to play, I'd say just don't get rid of them. I know
don't upset the apple cart.
Yeah, but you look at where you finished last year, and you're getting rid of one of the most experienced defenders that you've got. He's been in the Premier League, especially he's been there with Everton, and he's done it for 2 years with Brighton, 3 years with Brighton. You can't. I don't know. That one for me, I just didn't understand that one. But
well, they finished 15th last season. I think it's this same thing again this time, and I think they'll lose patience with Potter if that happens again, because obviously they wanted him to be able to push them on. It looked like he was doing it to start, and then, like you said, they've not done anything better than what Chris Hughton did.
Yeah.
So I think it's 15th, and then I think Potter might be the first managerial casualty of the season.
I'd say 18th, and Big Sam.
Then they're gone.
Yeah, 18th and Big Sam can't save them.
Oh dear. Right, let's move on. We've got Burnley next. We like Burnley, don't we? We love it. We love a big dicey. Just looking through. Not any additions. They've not made any signings. No, they haven't, have they?
Don't think they got picked up, have they?
We got Will Norris in from Wolves. He's a goalkeeper. He's going to be third choice behind Peacock, Farrell and Pope. He lost Hendrick, who I think is a decent...
Yeah.
I've had this argument with a lot of people recently, particularly Everton fans, because a lot of Everton fans think you have to sign world-class fancy players and it'll be a fantastic team. You need grafters to supplement your flair players, and Jeff Hendrick was a grafter. Every time we played against them, he tore us apart because he grafted against a team that couldn't graft. And I think they're going to miss him. I think Newcastle have done well there to get him. Oddly enough, we'll get on to Newcastle in a minute. I think they're building a good little, a good solid Premier League team there. I think he's doing a decent job. But got McNeil, I'm surprised he stayed. I thought somebody would have snapped him up by now. Maybe another season.
I think it's still early days in the transfer window. He could go, but again, it's if teams. I think teams in and around them could throw money at him. But if you're say for example Chelsea, you're not going to look at him and go, oh well, he's going to improve our left hand side.
Yeah.
Like let's throw money at him. I think, especially now, teams are being really, really smart with how they invest the money. I think Burnley are just one of them. I think they're always going to be safe. I think Lennon got released as well.
Yeah.
But they're a team where like, do you know what they're doing? I think if you look at Sean Dyche, he gets players in that are going to complement each other. He doesn't change the team. He doesn't mix around with formations. He keeps it all the same. All right, it can be annoying and frustrating for fans, but you know your level, you know what standards you've got, and if you're grinding out performances and victories, especially at home, I don't think like it's a bad thing. They got into Europe 3 years ago, I think it is now.
Yeah, well, I was just about to say it's 2 top 10 finishes in 3 years for Burnley, which I think is fantastic. So they finished 7th in 2017, they finished 15th in 2018, and then they finished 10th last time around.
I think if they got, I think they need a better goal scorer because, all right, Woods and Stokes are good. But
he's gone now. Just Barnes, isn't it? Is it Barnes?
Yeah, Barnes.
I think you were right actually. Yeah, Wood, Barnes, Rodriguez, and Vidra.
But so Vidra scores 1 goal every blue moon. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then the other 2 do pop up with goals. I think Woods has got 10 his last 2 seasons, double figures last 2 seasons, which is good. But I don't know. I think you need somebody else to help chip in as well. I think
he got 14 last season and 10 the season before.
So they got double figures last 2 seasons.
Last 3 seasons. He got 10 in 2017 as well.
Not a Burnley fan. but again, though, like, that's what I mean. Though, you need someone else up there with him to do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the way I've always looked at it. Like, I always look at that United team from '99. For me, they have 4 strikers, and they were all chipping in with goals. You're not going to get a goal every other game. So if he's not doing it, and you can alternate to suit different teams and different styles. Because if he's playing against, say like a Chelsea, and Azpilicueta's playing centre half, well, he could stand him up, he could bully him, or what's his name, Rudiger. He can use his strength against them. Whereas if you're playing against the likes of Southampton, you need someone who's quicker on the turn. So you could go with Vidra and Rodriguez, but they're not necessarily always going to score the goals. So you do need, I'd say, I know they wouldn't get him. He probably wouldn't suit their style of play. And I know you don't really like him, but someone like a Josh King, who still scores 10 goals a season, where he can chip, because he does a lot more, and he can chip in with them.
He's a grafter. Yeah, he's a grafter. He's a grafter. That's what you need, I think.
Gale is another one who I just think in the Premier League, he's not been as prolific as what he was in the Championship. But I think in the right team, he's still going to get you goals. I think they need someone like him, and they need another midfielder who can create a little bit. And I think they'll be all right. I think maybe 14th, 13th. Right?
Yeah, I was going to say 12.
Yeah, round about. I think it's written that they're going to be fine. Can't see.
Yeah, safe, aren't they? Solid little option.
Yeah.
Couple of 1-0s. Right, next up. This is the one for me that is either going to go amazing or is going to go tits up. It's Chelsea. So, to borrow a phrase from Ped, I think they won the transfer window. Sarr, Silva, Chilwell. God, who else did they sign in? Ziyech, Havertz, Werner. I think they smashed it. I mean, looking at their squad now, so you're talking about Burnley, about needing the need of players who can score. They've got Werner, Abraham, Giroud, and Batshuayi. Batshuayi is so underrated, I think. He's not great. Him in a team like Burnley, I think, would be great. He's a flair player that's supplemented by grafters. And I think that's what happened at Dortmund, because Dortmund at the time didn't have their flair players. They just had grafters, and he smashed it when he went over there. So I think it's similar. I think Bakayoko's going to Milan. I think they've lost him now. Just their team is meant. They've still got Danny Drinkwater. How?
It was like 30 million.
Something like that. But I mean, Chilwell 50 million, I think, is crazy. Considering they paid double that for Havertz. and like just a little bit over that for Werner. I think
Yeah.
that's insane. I don't think he's that good. I think he could have been. I don't think he is. Yeah, he's one of those players who I think if you watch that All or Nothing with Spurs, Mourinho says it to Delhi, and he says you can either be the player who fulfilled his potential or a player who's got a high ceiling and never reaches it. I think that's what Chilwell is. He's got that high ceiling. I don't think he'll ever reach it.
I don't know. I think like, see, because this is the thing. I don't know if you remember, but I remember like a couple of years ago, you were talking about trying to sign him forever.
I thought he'd have been a like for Baines, yeah.
You saying like he'd be a really good player to come in. I think
Yeah.
if you look at it, I like him. I think the way he played under Rodgers at Leicester, it worked. But then, again, he had like, Harvey Barnes used to play on that side, Damari Gray used to play on that side, really, really complimented him. I think Pulisic can do a job for him there as well. It depends if Pulisic is willing to, track back like they do, because how Rodgers plays.
Who starts for them? Who starts for them when they're attacking? Because he plays a 4-2-3-1, doesn't he, Frank? I think. Who starts? And where did he start?
Werner obviously plays up front. Pulisic starts on the wing. And then maybe Havertz in the middle and say Ziyech on the wing.
On the right.
Or Havertz on the right. I think you can't not play Havertz now because of the money you've invested in him. I think if you look at Ziyech, I think he's coming in. He probably thought he was going to take over from Barkley and Mount, but he's not going to get the games over him. I think he's the wonder kid, and realistically, that's the way it's going to happen. I think Mount could probably even go on the wing.
Well, I'm just thinking about it then. I mean, I love my German footy anyway. Havertz can play as a striker. Werner can play on the wing. Ziyech can play across the front four. He can play as a striker if he needed to. He did do it every now and again for Ajax. Pulisic, again, he can play up front. He can play on the wing. He can play in the middle. They've got Kovacic. They've got Mount who can play on the wing. They've got Loftus-Cheek who's played as a striker before. They've got the crayon eater Ross Barkley who he can do a job, and he did do a job for them last season. He did. They've got Kante who they don't want, which I think is mental. They've got Jorginho. They've got Conor Gallagher, who's come back in from Swansea, who had a great season. He might get some game time. They've got Billy Gilmore. They've got Abraham. They've got Giroud. They've got Hudson-Odoi. They've got Batshuayi. And then you've got players who, depending on the system, play like looking at their defenders here. They've got Malang Sarr, who's good. He's a good young player, but it's how he's going to react to the league. I think he's like the Zuma replacement long term. I think like when Zuma first went there from Saint Etienne under Mourinho, he was like the kid, weren't he? And now he's like there or thereabouts their main player. But I don't think he is. I don't think Zuma will ever be that for Lampard. So I think that let's say they're playing the 4-2-3-1. I think they definitely need a new keeper because Kepa's terrible. But that it doesn't look like they're getting one. But I mean, they can have Pickford if they want, if they're willing to pay for them.
Do you know, like, talk about keepers? No one will ever agree with me because I barely say to people. I think again, like just going back to it suits styles and stuff. I know Kepa makes mistakes, but like I like him. I think he's not that all right. He doesn't like there's is it the percentage?
He doesn't save anything. He's a goalkeeper.
No, I'm trying to word it right, but like I think you look at De Gea when he first went to United. How many people got on his back? Do you know what I mean? I know, he's had a couple of slips like recently and all that sort of stuff. I think the Tottenham game at the new White Hart Lane kind of, when Roy Keane went in on him. But again, I think like it all depends on what you want. Yeah. And it all depends on how you're trained and how you're coached. I think, do you know what I mean? I think, I don't know, I'm probably just like chatting. People are going to watch this and be like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. But if you know someone's strengths, you go, Sands, I can do this with you, and I don't have to worry about that. We have to focus on your weaknesses, which is this. Chelsea might not be doing that. They might just be going, oh, well, we're going to do this, and throw, practice on your strengths. Like, this is amazing. Keep doing this, and then just like brush everything else into the carpet. Look at Pickford. He's a great shot stopper. Is he that good of a leader as a goalkeeper? Is he, reliable enough? Does he make smart enough decisions? No, they even said that yesterday in the England game, the Iceland game, his concentration level, it drops.
Yeah.
You know, they were saying when we play Denmark, Nick Pope's going to have to go back in goal because he's a lot more alert, he's a lot more switched on, whereas Pickford isn't. So straight away, that's a fault. So is it Everton you need to look at and go, well, how can we fix it? How can we improve it? And that's the thing, if you're not addressing these issues, the player will never improve, and then you're just going to throw them by the wayside. So you can go out and you can splash money, say, I don't know who they buy, but say Oblak, for example. You can do the exact same thing. Throw money at Oblak, he turns up, he starts making mistakes. Why? Because you don't address his weaknesses as well as his strengths. The same thing happens. Unless you improve it, the player will never get better. I think you just got to give him the time, let him adjust and adapt. And let's look at it. That team is changed a lot in the 2 years that he's been there, and the management and the structure changed. So what Sarri wanted from him is different from what Lampard wanted from him. He makes mistakes. He's probably nervous. Do you know what I mean? Like, it happens. It's confidence issues as well. He knows how much pressure's on his back because of the price. If he costs 10 million, would you turn around and go like, he's a flop? He's just.
I know they'd be buzzing because he's good. He's good enough.
Yeah.
Be buzzing, wouldn't they? Yeah.
Still got fourth with a keeper who's supposedly, God
hologram.
Yeah. Like, I'm not being funny, nothing, but I've seen worse win Premier Leagues. So, like, you've got to look at it that way. Like, I don't know. I think he's still young as well. He's still a teenager. He's just turned 20.
I think he's like 22, isn't he? He's 25, you know?
Yeah.
He's 20. No way. Okay, yeah, so I think, I mean, goalkeepers don't hit their prime until 27, 28, 29. But I think what you're saying there, he's not been coached. I think at Bilbao, they had a very particular, because they can't sign anyone who's not Basque. He was the best Basque goalkeeper. Therefore, he was the best keeper for them. Whereas at Chelsea, they can go and they've proven it. They can just go and buy somebody if they need to. So I think you're right. I think it's a combination of his coaching's been different.
Look at Joe Hart at Man City. Like, the minute Guardiola walked in, he was like, "We can't kick a ball. Don't want him."
Yeah.
So instead of trying to go, well, we'll get through it and we'll see what happens. Straight away, he went, "Well, I want Bravo." But Bravo wouldn't save anything for shit, but because he could kick a ball, like, he wanted him more. And it clearly backfired because they finished fourth. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So, like, I know Hart, like, fell down now. But if Guardiola went, well, Joe, we'll take time and, we'll see what he's like distribution-wise, then you can look towards the future. I know they got Edison anyway, but you tell me he couldn't have, like, another year with Hart.
He could have, yeah. He
just chose not to. So I think this year is the make or break. You give it that year. Okay, if it doesn't work out for him, and let's be honest, Thiago Silva's going to be ahead of him, which might, relax him a little bit more. Do you know what I mean? Like, he had Tomori and Antonio Rudiger, and if I'm being honest, I'm not the biggest fan of Rudiger. I think he's
another one. His concentration.
He's the German Sacco for me. I think he just goes out looking for the scrap. He doesn't really concentrate. He can tackle. Yeah. He tries to throw his weight around, and it doesn't always work out for him. And do you know what I mean? Like, that's the way I've always looked at him. I just think there's if I was Chelsea, I'd say, well, I want Silva and Tomori. I want those two as my centre-halves.
I think it's going that way. It's Silva and Tomori or Silva and Zuma. Wouldn't even surprise me if it ends up being Zuma and Azpilicueta. To be honest, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. But even I think, like, he'd be a lot more reserved. He'd be a lot more confident. Do you know what I mean? Like, Marcus Alonso's another one. He wasn't the greatest defender. So they went out and he rectified it. So instead of, I think he's looked at it, instead of going, we're going to spend all this money on one keeper. So say, for example, Donnarumma, who would cost near enough 70, 80, 90 million plus. He's went, well, why do that for one player when I can split it and try and improve my defence?
Yeah.
So, you've done it and I've done it, like playing in goal. When I concede, my argument's always, well, the keeper should never get the ball anyway. The keeper should never be anywhere near it. It's the
defender's job.
It's the outfield player's job to keep it away. If it's come through, then it's your mistake. All right, I know that, like, I should save shots and stuff like that, but you're not going to save them all.
Yeah.
It's just life. You've got to accept it. Like, no one's like, you can't save everything. But that's the way I look at it. I think he'll be safer. I think he'll have a better year, and they'll move on. I think they'll be okay. I think I'd say they would be the one that gets third.
I'm saying third and a good, like, solid Champions League run. Solid.
I don't think they'll have a good Champions League run. I think they want it, but I think the way they'll look at it is they'll say to Abramovich, will say to Lampard, well, this team, you need to seriously compete for the league. I think that's going to be his major priority. I think this year was a free roam. As in, well, wherever you finish is great. We'll accept it. We want Europe. He's got them Champions League, which I don't think anybody predicted he would have done. I think, you'd say Tottenham and maybe Leicester should have got it. I think Leicester definitely should have got it. They just fell off after the restart. But for me, I think Chelsea third, Premier League's the major priority for them. I can see them getting third.
Yeah, okay. Palace, this, to me, there's not really a lot to say with Palace, to be honest. They're just the same every year. I think they're going to finish within 10th to 15th. They're not going to go any lower than 15th. They've brought in Eze. They brought in Nathan Ferguson, but he's just going to be a like for like because their right back options are Martin Kelly and Joel Ward. So they've just got a young right back in from when they lost Wan-Bissaka because they never replaced him. Eze is the flair player that they need in that midfield, especially if Zaha does go, which I don't think he is doing. But there's not a lot to say. They're solid. You're talking about like fans in football. I think they miss their fans being at home a lot. Because obviously their fans make the atmosphere.
Yeah, wall that you hate.
I am a massive just crank when it comes to Palace fans because it's a false atmosphere. They're getting smacked 72-0 and they're all like ole ole ole, like nah, come on, like fans create the atmosphere and the players feed off it. If I was a player and I was losing 3 or 4-0 in a game, which you knew, like especially like City, where you're not really going to come back into it because players are humans too. It doesn't matter that Keith from Solihull is sitting in the Wolverhampton Wanderers end, banging his drum in his bloody Sin Cara mask. Do you know what I mean? Like that means nothing to the players at the end of the day if they're losing 3-0. And that's the thing with Palace is that they've got this little section of fans. It sounds good, it looks good on telly, but it's a false atmosphere. I've seen games where they're losing 4-5-0 and the fans are bouncing around like they've just won a game at Wembley. I don't understand it. Like, this is me being an Everton fan.
Cynical.
Like, anger. Some players feed on anger. You want to see the crowd riled up. Say like Checo Kouyaté threw in a quality last-ditch challenge. He can't turn around and be telling fans to get up and cheer and that because they've been cheering for 90 minutes. Do you see what I mean? It's a false atmosphere. So I don't think they'll ever push on. I think they will always be just that mid-table Premier League team. And I think, I know a few Palace fans from living down here, and they all hate Hodgson. I think they are gone when Hodgson goes. Hodgson and Zaha go, they're gone.
Yeah, no, I genuinely think. I think they're like a South Burnley, aren't they? I think if you look from that point of view, I think they're just in and around that area. They don't really. To be fair, like last year, they had like a good year. I think did they finish above us? Sure, they did.
Yeah, yeah, they did. Yeah.
They had like a good year. I think the team's good. I like them in field because it's a lot of grafters. It's a lot of hard workers. McCarthy, and Kouyaté, as you say. They had Jeff Hendrick, who I actually used to like. I thought he was a decent little player. Just a bastard, just like putting the tackle and stuff like that. Milivojevic, again, gets booked every game or every other game.
He wins me a lot of money, Milivojevic, booking in a goal.
But he pops up with the penalties and that. Like, for me, their midfield's always been fine. I think up front, Wilfried Zaha on his day is quality, but the problem is he's turned 28, 29 now, and like a lot of other players in the Premier League, he's not always having his day. It's if and so. Maybe that's because the players around him aren't as high of a level as what he is, and you can notice it, and it can get frustrating. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, if you're doing all these insane runs and putting stuff into the box, and Connor Wickham's still like 50 yards away, do you know what I mean? Like, it can be frustrating because they don't read the game as well. I think, you know, again, just going back to Everton's sake, you look at the way Richarlison plays, and you know, he can pick a pass and he can do things and he can put things on a plate. Whereas, you know, if you've not got the player in front of you to latch onto it, it can be frustrating. It can be annoying. So it's, I think it's 56 of 1. I think Zaha needs to kind of take the team and carry forward himself. But you can't do that week in, week out because it's
I
frustrating.
think that's why they signed Eze. I think
So
the option is that Eze is the one who carries them out and he brings it forward, and then Zaha's on the end of them balls. I think that's what they're planning for.
it's going to take the pressure off, and I think it'll work because I think, again, is it Jordan or Andre? Is it
Jordan,
who for me is one of those like that first game of the season last year, he had undies down. Like,
yeah, he tethered us, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he's one of them where he's actually like a really good player. I think he's another one where there's players around him need to complement him.
Yeah.
If you have those three working together, it could work well. Again, with that the midfield, it's a solid midfield. Like James McCarthy, we know what he can do. And he'll track everywhere and he'll put in tackles and he'll win the ball back and look to go forward. I think the defence is a little bit sloppy, which is I think Gary Cahill, for me, I never really liked him. I've never rated him. I think he's a bit past it. I think they need to look at seriously strengthening that defence. Maybe the goalkeeper as well. I think Gaither's not the best.
He's all right, but he's all right for Palace.
Yeah. Right. And then I think like Van Arnold, if you look at it, is the best out of their defence. I think there's no denying that. So it depends on what you do with it and like where they invest next. For me, it's got to be the defence, and they've got to be smart with it. Maybe not going, oh, we're going to get them for the future, but look at defenders from the Premier League that, you know, maybe is surplus to requirements, like a Phil Jones. He's not the best, but you can throw money at him and he can come, or he can come on a loan. Do you know what I mean? Players like that will benefit Palace, and I think they could use that to push on to try and get at least 10th. But for me, anywhere between like 11th and 15th is where they...
It's mid-table, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, they'd happily take that.
Okay. Moving on. The main event, we could spend hours talking about it.
No, mighty lose.
I think before we go on talking about it, I think 7th. I think we're going to finish 7th, and I think we're going to have a proper crack at the Carabao Cup.
Yeah.
Like, and I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, that trophy. We've just been drawn against Salford in this second or third round. I think it's not everyone's cup of tea in the same way that the Europa League's not everyone's cup of tea. I'm practical when it comes to it. Like, if you win the Carabao Cup, you've got European football next season. If you win the Europa League, you've got Champions League football next season. It's a means to an end.
Yeah.
So why not go for it? Do you know what I mean? So I think we're going to go all in for it. Obviously, we've announced Allen. Looks like we're about to announce Doucouré and James in the week. I'm arguably more excited about Doucouré than the other two, which sounds daft.
Yeah.
The way I see it is he's what we've been missing for a long time. A proper box-to-box. He's audible. He's good on the ball. He can tackle. He can shoot. He can pass. He's got a bit about him. He's good in the air. He's what we've been missing for a long time. And from the looks of it, he's just a sound bloke. Like, I don't know if you've seen other stuff on social media. Like, we were talking before about like clubs not saying what's been happening and that. And for those who don't know, he basically spent the last remaining hours of a very ill Watford fan's life in hospital with him, just talking football with him. And he didn't do that. The club didn't send him. He just did it in the same way that, like, Ben Foster over at Watford, he does things similar to that and invites people around to his house and that. And he found a missing fella, didn't he? Like, wandering the streets, and he just sat down and he invited him, and he had like Christmas dinner with him and that, and his family. And, you know, I think that's what we're trying to create, is a culture of like good, solid, proper players. And then you've got your flair players, which Rodriguez, Richarlison's a bit of a mix. He's a flair player and he's a grafter. Bernard's a flair player, but I'm still very indifferent on Bernard. Gomez, I don't really see how he fits in anymore. I think it won't happen on Sunday, we're either going to go 4-3-3 or 4-3-2-1, and your three in midfield are going to be Allen, Doucouré, and James, whether it's a triangle or whether that's a flat three. You never know. The only other option is that James can play out wide right, which I think either way, Richarlison's going wide left. He played wide left against Preston yesterday.
Yeah.
Again, I don't want to spend too much time talking about Everton because we could be doing it for hours, which we can do other videos on. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Depends if anyone watches this one. Like,
yeah, true. Defense, Kenny back. Would he start or Seamus? I want to say Kenny.
You know my feelings on Kenny. I personally, before he went out to Schalke, I didn't rate him. I think, I don't know, I going off the English thing, I thought Kenny got a lot of praise because he was a local lad and he was an Evertonian. I think he came
Tom Davies effect.
Yeah, and I thought it was like, well, he was decent, but he weren't the best. I think, playing the derby, the 1-1 draw where Rooney scored at Anfield and he put in a tackle and he started celebrating, but like he was getting torn apart for the rest of the game.
Yeah,
so, like,
exactly.
You can do it for one. Like, I think Coleman doesn't lose it until we buy like a solid right back. There was talk about that Arias Coleman. I've never seen him play really. But if he
it's good on you.
Yeah, I mean, he got an inform a couple of years ago, so he must be decent. But you know what I mean? But like, if he comes, then it sounds like serious competition for Coleman. I think Coleman is at that tipping point of his career now.
I think he's over it. I think 2 years ago was legend.
I think he is. I think that's what I mean. I think it's like, okay, so now he's on the retirement stage. I think, so if you look at it that way, I think Kenny will eventually come in, kind of like the way Luca Dean did with Baines, like the first season where it was, well, Baines started, but then it was, well, we're going to substitute Dean on, and then it just became substitute to, you're just a starting left back now, so deal with it. So I can feel that's the way it's going to go. I think Kenny starting yesterday kind of proved it a little bit. Coleman.
Is Seamus not with Ireland?
Is he?
I think he might be with the Irish squad, yeah.
Oh, that's probably why then. But like, either that or we just locked him in his house. No, but I feel like it's either going to be, if we don't sign Arias, I think halfway through the season you'll see Kenny coming in and being a starting right back. But I think either way, that's a position where we seriously need to strengthen big time.
Yeah, it's either that or you've got Mason who can play there.
Yeah, but
I don't see that happening. Delph looks like he might be on his way to Burnley. Gylfi might be going the MLS.
I always knew I liked Sean Dyche.
You've got Gabaman to come back in, but his hamstrings and his quads are made out of celery. Theo or Yannick? This is divided Everton Twitter, especially after yesterday, because Bolasie made a couple of decent runs against the bum fullback from Preston.
I think, if I'm being honest, and I've said this to you so many times, again, I've said it to you so many times, you can make an hour video on Bolasie himself. His touches are terrible. Like, he takes like a first touch, and, oh my God, it just angers me how bad they are.
And he's big, He's put like muscle on. He looks big.
I don't care.
I'm not. I don't want him to play. I don't want him to play.
Lose it. Do you know what I mean? Like, muscle just doesn't matter for shit. Like, he's going to be like the Adama Traore of Everton. Oh. Like, for me,
baby oil on his bicep. He'll put baby oil on his biceps and then put a long sleeve shirt on.
I was going to say, was baby oil on his boots, then first touches.
Yeah,
Walcott stays.
Yeah, Theo stays. Yeah. Theo stays for me.
He's shit, but he's my shit.
Branthwaite, I think he'll get a lot more game time. He looks solid. Again, the midfield is Allen and Doucouré. I've got it on lock. I think Gomez might be the third to supplement a three with Rodriguez wide right, Richarlison on the left. I personally think that's what they're going to go down.
I think it's going to be like the him and James. If James, when it gets announced, they're going to be the yo-yo.
Yeah.
Where it's going to be like, some games it's going to benefit James. Again, talk about Burnley, it's going to benefit him. It'll benefit Gomez, and they will swap rounds. I think it'll be the same with Allen. Again, it'll be Do you know what I mean? Like, we'll
Also,
bring in...
Gabam can play right back as well. He's played right back for mine, Sam for Ivory Coast.
So again, it's options in it. I think, like, you can see where they're going with it, and I think you can see which players are getting off. I think Sigurdsson looked at it yesterday and was like, my days here are done.
Yeah, I think from what we can tell, I'm looking at the first team sheet here. I think Lossell, Delph, Sigurdsson, Tom Davies, Bernard, Balassi are definitely like days numbered. I think Iwobi might get another year or two. I like Iwobi. He plays right mid a lot last. He's not a right midfielder. And in 4-4-2, he's definitely not a right midfielder. Do you know what I mean?
I think the problem with Iwobi was before he even signed, he was a scapegoat, because I think me and you even said it, where it was like the Zaha deal fell through, and then when the Iwobi deal got announced, everyone was like, well, it's a good backup, we'll take it. So straight away, you're already putting him on a shelf of, oh, well, it's just going to be, he'll be all right. So, and then, like, just going off Arsenal fans going, well, he's not the best, like, watching AFTV, and they said that, Saka, was playing better than what Iwobi was, and that was 2-3 years ago, when Saka, was like 5, because he's still only a kid now. So, like, going off that, straight away, you just paint a picture of who the player is. I think he needs to get involved a hell of a lot more. It's not, you can't say he doesn't. It's the 2 goals and 1 assist, or no assists.
Yeah.
So he does need to contribute a hell of a lot more. One player we haven't even mentioned, Moise Kean. He can play on the wing.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up as a separate point, and this might sound like
you're getting rid of him.
No, not get rid of him. To me, he is on the verge of, particularly if he doesn't play a lot this season, he's on the verge of falling into the trap of Tom Davies, where he's not been coached properly or consistently, and he's not good. Tom Davies has played 100 games for Everton, so I'm not saying he's not got the game time, but I feel like Keane is, let's say, like Ben White in this situation. He needs a full season playing consistently in either the same team or just in the same role. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's not going to get in over Dom. I like Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He's not the striker we need if we want to push on for Europe. He's not. He's a good striker. He's not a finisher. He's a good centre forward. He can hold the ball up. He can run. His inability to head the ball baffles me. Baffles me, because I've never seen a leap like it. He's got a Tim Cahill-esque leap on him, and he cannot header a ball. Don't understand it. Personally, I would personally send Keane out on loan and try and get, I know not because he's like 37 now, not him, but a Llorente type player like Spurs did, where he'll come in, he'll do a job. Giroud for Chelsea, he'll come in, he'll do a job, bang, see you later, mate. I would send him out on loan and go get Batshuayi on loan, because he's proven he can do it in the Premier League. So if you do need to call upon him, he's there. And you need to make that clear to him that you are here if we need you. I'm not saying get Batshuayi. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that type of player, the player that ilk, where he's not really going to get a sniff at his parent team, but there's a player in there. I think he needs that game time, and he's not going to get it at us. He's not. Like, I like him. I love him. We were at that Newcastle game when he scored, and I love him. I think he's a great player. But
no, I think, like, going off that, in my head, like, just thinking about it there, I think Ancelotti's looked at it and thought, well, do you know what? Like, to take the pressure off, like the way Guardiola's done with Phil Foden, you're not going to get, like, every minute of every game this first 6 months. Because if I do that, it's going to be more pressure on you to deliver. If you don't deliver, you're going to get a lot more grief. You're going to get a lot more, like, it's going to be thrown at you, saying, well, you're this wonder kid. You can do it at Juve with Ronaldo. You should be able to do it here. I think going into it next year, it'll be more if you are going to get the game time. As you say, like, Calvert-Lewin's not the one to take us forward. Ancelotti, I think he knows that. He's going to get goals. He's not going to, as you say, he's not going to, go on to that next step. Again, fully understands it.
Whereas, Keane can. He's got the potential.
Yeah, I think he'll get more game. I think when he gets the team that he wants, you'll see it, and you'll see, you can't tell Sigurdsson to do what James does, because Sigurdsson's never been at that level before. You can't say play a Champions League winning pass, because he's never done it. James has. He's played in Champions League finals. He's done it. He knows how to handle it at the top stage. Sigurdsson's biggest team, if you think about it, in the last couple of years, was Tottenham. But
He
they went
flopped, didn't he?
Yeah. So, do you know what I mean? You can't like take the players that we've had and say that they're all going to deliver. You know, Gomez, Luca Dean, and Bernard are the only ones who play in the Champions League. None of the others have. None of that starting 11 have. Oh, apart from Walcott, he's not going to be in the starting 11 anymore. The way it's going now, he's going to be gone. So it depends on who you've got around you, and that's where the focus is going to be. You'll see a change in him. He's going to get a lot more game time, and he will get goals next year. And I think he stays. He just needs the run, but he'll definitely get it.
Where do you reckon then?
I agree with you. Seventh in the trophy. I've always said to you, like, if we win the Europa League, it's a kick. The Europa League. If we win the Carabao Cup, it's a kickstart. Yeah. I always like the Europa League. Teams that don't want to win it baffles me.
I like the Europa League. I like it.
It's because they don't want to play a Thursday and a Sunday, but it's the same gap between a Thursday and a Sunday as it is between a Wednesday and a Saturday.
Thank you. I hate that argument. I hate it.
I get. All right, you might have to go to Azerbaijan for one game, but people play CSK Moscow away. That's Russia. Do you know what I mean? I just think so. So you're fine going to Russia on a Wednesday and Newcastle on a Saturday. You can't do say Seville on a Thursday and play against Norwich at home on a Sunday. Why can't you do that?
Exactly.
That always baffles me, that.
Especially when they're moaning about going to France. It's like an hour away. You can get to France quicker than I can get back to Liverpool.
What it is, it's because it's not the Champions League. It's because it's not the circle patch with the stars, the circle patch with the trophy. And that's all it is. It's the fact that you don't get the same amount of money. The Champions League is what you do for the Europa League. It just, for me, baffles me.
Okay, let's move on. Sensible Scotty and Fulham. I think they're gone. I'm just looking. Signings they made, Mario Lemina and Harrison Reed. They've brought Seri back. That's it.
You signed Knockout, 10 million. Robertson.
Knockout has played for 3 Premier League teams now. And every time has gone back to the Championship within a year.
I think with Fulham, it's all going to come down to. I agree. I think as much as you skate and I like Scott Parker, I like Fulham. I've always liked Fulham. I think depending on it as of when, not if. I think if Mitrovic isn't on, it's going to be a lot sooner than what it will be. I think Mitrovic basically holds the key to what Fulham do because he is so good in the Championship. He's proven it. Premier League 2 seasons ago, he can score goals. It's proven. He just needs to service around him.
Yeah.
Knockout potentially could do that. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it might do. I think plain and simple, they will go down. I don't think they've got the players to stay up, and I think Parker's not had the experience. And if they want to keep him, they're not going to sack him. They'll say, okay, so that was your first taste. Go back down, back up, and we'll go again. I think
I think he's gone. I think they're gone. I think they're 19th, 20th. I think they're near rock bottom. I genuinely do. Next up, Leeds. I like Leeds. I like Bielsa. I like what he's trying to do. I think they're going down. I really do. I think they're going to do exactly what Norwich did. They're going to come in. They're going to play some nice football. I remember saying to you, watching that first game of the season, it was me, you and Lucy in our living room watching Liverpool Norwich and thinking, hey, if Norwich play like that, they'll stay up, and look what happens. I think the exact same thing will happen to Leeds. They'll play some really nice football. They've got some nice players. They've got Kiko Casilla, albeit he's not, when you can tell, not the nicest fella from some of the comments he makes. Just signed Robin Koch from, I think it was Augsburg he played for. Rodrigo, 30 million. Everyone go mental. He's a good player on FIFA. In reality, he scored 4 goals last season.
Is it 52 games and 52 goals in 220 games?
Yeah, it's not fantastic, is it? Joe Gelhardt, they got from Leeds. He's from Wigan. He's a youngster and he's not Premier League proven. Patrick Bamford has proven he's not a Premier League striker in the past. Their midfield, with the exception of Pablo Hernandez, is not a Premier League midfield. They've got Adam Forshaw, Alioski, Stuart Dallas, Hernandez, Harrison, Phillips, Cliff and Shackleton. Phillips and Hernandez, the best out there for me. Defence-wise, they didn't get They didn't get White, so they got Koch. They got a big German Koch. I think they're gone. Honestly, I do. I don't see them doing anything. I really don't. And they won't sack Bielsa because he's the best thing that's happened to them in years. But I don't think they're staying up. I think they're gone.
Best thing since Brian Clough. That I think. See, I'm the opposite. In my head, I'm thinking like when I see them come up, I was sitting there going, "Shit, they're really going to challenge us for like that for a European spot there." I can see us like there's a lot of teams in that Europa League group where, do you know what I mean? I think the Calvin Phillips.
He's a good player.
I think with them again, like I've not really watched them, but I think he's going to be what Alan Smith was like 2 decades ago, like where everything's going to be pinned on him. That's the way I see it going. I think teams, if they don't get where I think they're going to finish, and they finish like a little bit either further down or they get relegated, they're just going to get plucked. A lot of them will just go, we'll have him. Pablo Hernandez, always liked him, thought he was class at Swansea. Patrick Bamford, for me, he didn't do it at Middlesbrough. He's not going to do it with Leeds. I don't think he's Premier League quality. I don't think he's Championship quality. I think he's a poor player, and he's past it. He's only in the early 20s. Yeah, I don't really know much about them because I didn't watch them play, but just going off like what people rave about, I think we said the same with Wolves when they came up. We said, well, they were going to go down because you can't replicate it.
Wolves, though, just to put in, Wolves had the players that had the potential to be Premier League players, and then they supplemented them by getting like Rui Patricio. They gone and got Dendoncker. They went and got Moutinho. They got Raul Jimenez. They signed the players who were between 23, 24 and 29, who were like in the prime of their career, who would supplement that. I don't think Leeds have done that.
Well, just going off that then, if you look at what Sheffield United done last year, half their squad were in Premier League proven players, and they done well. All right, they kind of fell off towards the end, but I think a lot of teams did with the restart. But I think you've got to give them the chance to show, well, this is why they are where they are. This is why they got promoted, like I did. I think there's always that argument when teams get promoted, you go off and spend £100 million, or do you leave it as it is? You've got to find a balance. And I think you bring in but you bring in to complement other players that you've already got. You don't bring them in to replace them. I think if the players in where it's going to help them progress a little bit forward, then they've done it right. I think the Ben White one, they clearly want him because that's the way they wanted to go. That's the kind of football that they want, and that's the player that they want. So now they've got to find a replacement for that and see, okay, is this going to work? They might struggle in that area, and it might be something that gets talked about around Christmas. If they are struggling and go, well, this would have been like a really big benefactor to them. I think, I don't know. In my head, they're like a dark horse because if you look at everybody in the top 8, top 9, they're going to be there for a reason because you know how good they are. But I can see Leeds just slipping in there. I really can. I think that the first game will get beat. But I think
playing Big Red, aren't they?
Yeah, playing Big Stand FC. But I think there's going to be something there where it'd be like, well, these are actually, you can't take these like light-hearted. You can't treat these like the way we treated Norwich. Because I think they will be a lot more switched on. They'll be a lot more tactical and they'll be so much smarter with decisions that they make. Bielsa's managed at the highest level. Yeah. That's the difference between them and Norwich. I think they'll be fine then.
Saying that though, he's never won anything apart from with, I think, Newell's Old Boys. Is the only thing he's ever won.
Yeah, but Davy Moyes didn't win anything, and like, do you know what I mean?
True.
He's the manager of all time.
Okay.
And he was a flop.
But clear disagreement there. I think they're gone. I don't think they're staying up. I really don't. Speaking of big, I know we've got Leicester next. I don't think there's a lot to say on them. They lost Chilwell. They've went and brought in Castan, like-for-like replacements. They've kept every single one of those players that did so well for them last season. I think same again. I think they're going to be pushing Champions League. I don't think there's much to say on them, to be honest. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think they need like maybe one or two that can carry them over the line now. I think that's where they fell off because, they got battered. Was it 5-0, 4-0 away Bournemouth? They lost to us away. I think they went to United and lost, or United went to them.
when Maddison got injured, weren't they started losing.
So they didn't have like the replacement. They haven't got that one player where it's like again, talk about like Alan and James, where you can just pick them up and go, come on, we're gonna carry you over the line here. Tillman's is still a kid, I think. Vardy's at that age now where it's like he's got the experience, but he's not got it, carrying teams forward. Do you know what I mean? Like I think when they lost Mahrez and Kante, you can see he's not really truly replaced them. Albrighton's not that kind of player. I think Harvey Barnes is a good player, but he's not going to be a Mahrez replacement. He's just not. I think they maybe need one or two that can get them into the Champions League. They won't get it. I think it'll be maybe a fight between them and Wolves about who gets seventh. I think one of them's going to finish seventh.
Okay. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, I said we were going to finish seventh. All right, it's going to be like a 3 or 4 way fight.
Yeah. Okay. We've got Big Yergi's legal Doping Express now. We've got Liverpool. I think second. I think the wheels have come off now. I think they've won what they needed to win. They've not improved on the squad. They're skint. From what we can tell, they're skint. They can't afford to go and improve on the squad, whereas everyone around them has. Based on last season, they were not the best footballing team in the league. Not that wins your league trophies, but Manchester City were far and away the better team. But Liverpool won the league at a canter, which is mad when you think about it. They can't keep going at that intensity, at that level, for as long as they have done without it backfiring. There's that article that's come out recently that about 25 of the 33-man squad are asthmatic, which is mental when you think about it. Like that's a massive. That's like nearly a 70% proportion of their players. And there's, as I say, that it's a joke. It gets thrown around, but people say that they're juicing. They're not. Let's be honest, they're not. But whatever, this isotonic sports drink, which is a miracle worker that he's brought in, which subsequently was banned in Germany, gets found out what it is. I don't think they'll win. I think they'll finish second. They give City a good run, but I think it'll be like 2 seasons ago where they drop off. Like they just can't get over the line. I think it's going to start catching up with them. And I think if they get 1 or 2 injuries, Firmino doesn't score a lot. Salah wasn't as good last season. Mane was their main man. Big Verge at the back.
Big Verge on his own.
I like Van Dijk, but I'm no football manager. I'm no tactician. I'm not a coach. I'm not this. Van Dijk is good in the air and good at sweeping up behind. If you put the ball on the floor and run at him, he is absolutely scared shitless. And I'm sorry, but he is. It's been proven multiple times last season. Pepe got the best of him a few times. Adama Traore terrored him. Andy Robertson can cross a ball and that's it. He's horrible. He can't pass. He can't shoot. He can run and he can cross, and that's all he's there for. But because people are so scared of them pressing, they lump the ball long. So who's back there? Knobhead with the ponytails back there to win it. Do you see what I mean? So if you can get the ball on the floor, like Arsenal did, the goal Arsenal scored in the Charity Shield, they got the ball on the floor and they passed it through them, and they didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Because all they do is run, and it sounds really stupid. They run and they play long ball. That's all they do.
Yeah.
Well, and they can't keep it up because people will find them out sooner or later, and it looks like teams have done because Mikel Arteta, you were saying earlier, has not got a lot of experience in management. Arsenal should have won that game before penalties. They really should have done. They played a lot better than Liverpool in that final.
Yeah. No, I think, like, I always make this joke that Liverpool play like an L formation. So it'll go Van Dijk to be the fullback. They'll play it to the wingers and then it just crosses
long ball.
Square or an L, that's like their formation, even though it's a back of the ball. But like, I think with them, I wouldn't look at it and go like, I think they're not going to lose as many games. I think they'll draw a lot more. I think that's where it'll be. I think tiredness will set in, but it won't be tiredness where they get beat. I think it'll be tiredness where they'll be leading a game, especially like away. They could be 2-1 up against Southampton at St Mary's, and then in the last 20 minutes or so, they switch off and Danny Ings scores and equalises and finishes 2-2. They're the games where it's going to cost them. I think, and me and a lot of like friends have said this. Henderson, everyone goes like, "Oh, he controls midfield." Yeah, because people are too scared to go near him. I think you've got to.
This is it. They're too scared to leave, not necessarily leave their zones, but they're too scared to push higher up the pitch on the fear that Salah and that are in behind them. Which is why Liverpool do play that long ball, because they can get Salah and that in behind. So if a team sitting off against them, they can't break them down.
Yeah.
Which is why Arsenal's, when they scored that goal, that started in their own box off a goal kick. So they drew Liverpool out because they thought, oh, we can press them really high, and they just knocked it around them. And the next thing you know, they're through on goal.
Yeah, I think looking at the Arsenal game, the Emirates, you look at the City game, the Etihad, like the way that they played, like they went at them. They went at them and they pressed them into mistakes. You look at
don't like it, do they?
Now, if you look at two of Arsenal's goals from the Emirates game, Alisson and Van Dijk are making mistakes because Nelson, I think Lacazette was one of them, and was it Saka, I think, or Nketiah? They ran at them because they were scared. They didn't know what to do. Like it puts them under pressure. I think, you've got to. The way I always look at it, it's the way when the All Blacks do the haka and teams stand in front of them to show they're not scared. I think teams are like that now. They see Liverpool, and it's like this mighty thing, and they do get scared of it. What you got to do is just turn around and stand up to it and be like, well, what have you got? Show them what you've got. Do you know what I mean?
And if it's not a long ball or a cross, they've not got an awful lot. Which it sounds really ridiculous to say because they won the league at a canter. That Champions League final that they won, which wasn't last season, by the way, which you'd think it was, the way they paraded it. It was the season before. They've not got a lot. They've got long balls and they run fast. And it sounds really stupid. And I'll die on this hill that if you get that ball on the floor and run a Virgil van Dijk, you can get past him because he's only good in the air. At Southampton, was he this world-class stalwart defender that no one could get past? No, because people weren't scared to run at Southampton. That's the difference. And that's why he played for Celtic up until the age of 25 and why he played for Southampton up until the age of 27. And he's only won 2, 3, 4 trophies in his career now because he's not the world's best defender. He's not. He's good in the air and he's quick. That's it. If you run at him, he doesn't like it.
You can't deny, like, he really did improve Liverpool.
Oh, no, he did. He was what they needed because people saw Lovren and went, oh, go ahead, mate, yeah. And they put the ball on the floor and they ran at him. Tell me teams when Liverpool had Lovren lumped the ball long every 2 seconds. No, they never.
Yeah.
Never. Because they weren't scared to run at them.
Yeah.
The Bournemouth game, just before lockdown kicked in, the one where the goalkeeper messed up, let Liverpool back into it. Callum Wilson absolutely bullying Joe Gomez. Personally, I do think it was a foul. But the fact is, they got the ball down and they ran. And Liverpool hated it. They didn't know what to do. And the only reason that they won that game is because the goalkeeper and the centre-back were messing up. That's Simpson, wasn't it? Jack Simpson, trying to dribble the ball out. I understand them saying, like, don't be scared of them, but don't be naive when that's what they were. Which is why Eddie Howe is a myth, because he's so naive.
Yeah, no, I think, it's just going to be comfortable. And I think, seeing what's online, Wijnaldum's out the door. That'll be the thing for Thiago to come in, because they'll say, well, give us 30 million. You have Wijnaldum for 30 million. They'll use that to buy Thiago.
But that's it. They're buying a playmaker for a team that doesn't play through the midfield. So maybe it's a change of style. We don't,
Looking at a plan B, but that's not necessarily going to work. If you've got Firmino playing ahead of him, it's not Robert Lewandowski. So if it's not Lewandowski, getting the 50-odd goals, is Thiago going to predominantly work? Do you know what I mean? I think, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, but second.
I think comfortably second. Then for me, the winners, City. Brought Ake in. Again, we're talking about solid grafters, solid Premier League players. I think he's got more of a head on his shoulders than Otamendi. He's not better than Laporte. I don't think he's going to play an awful lot. Stones, Walker, who else did he brought in? Ferran Torres. Don't think he's going to play all that much. They don't need improving. They just needed to show the defence up, and they've done. I think they win it. I think Liverpool comfortably second and City comfortably first.
I think realistically, if I'm looking at it, they need another centre half. I think they need a new left back because Mendy's terrible.
I think Angelino's gone, hasn't he? Has he gone back to Leipzig?
I don't know. Actually,
It's saying on here that he's still there, but I think he's gone back to Leipzig, but I'm not entirely sure.
But yeah, I think maybe like a new left back, another centre half. I think Koulibaly keeps getting thrown about. Because you can't play two left-footed centre halves.
Yeah.
I don't think Nathan Ake wins them a Premier League. I think you still need someone there to support Laporte. If Koulibaly does come in, it will be great, and I think he can really help improve that team. The forward line speaks for itself. I agree. Like Michael Richards said, he shouldn't have sold Sané, and I agree. I don't think he should have. I think he didn't want to be at Man City anymore, which is understandable. But then I think, he wanted to be back home, which is fair enough. But I think, yeah, if you've not bought anyone to replace him, that's the bit of the worry.
Yeah.
Because when you think, he won games, he gets goals. He was a really, really good player. He was someone that City relied on when he was
dynamic, weren't he? Yeah.
And if you think about it, he weren't fit and they lost the league.
And
there's a lot of talk about, you've struggled because he's not played.
He won them a lot of games, didn't he, in that season?
Yeah, so I think
particularly in that 18-game winning streak, he won them a lot of games.
Yeah, so I think, he played a part in it. So I think you can look at it and go, well, do we need another winger that can be of Sané level to help try and contribute? So I think, looking at Chelsea, they looked at where they needed to strengthen. They have Mount and Barkley as attacking midfielders, and they've really improved it because look at the caliber of player they brought in. They've lost Sané. Is Phil Foden going to be, on the wing as much as he is going to be in the middle? Probably not. He did it yesterday for England, but that's not to say that's where he's going to be at City. So it depends on what happens. I think they will win it. I don't think it'll be comfortable, but I think it'll be the winner.
Yeah.
That's my prediction.
Okay, next up then, we've got Ollie and United. Brought Henderson back from Sheffield United. Got Van der Beek. I think Champions League again for them. I think Bruno runs that team. For some reason, they get 27,000 penalties a season. I think now that Henderson's there, if De Gea does mess up like he has been doing, we've got someone to challenge him, which he's not had because he's had Romero and Lee Grant under him for the past couple of years. So not to say Romero's not a good goalkeeper because he is, but he's not De Gea level, whereas Henderson's got the ceiling to be a good international level goalkeeper. So they've got that there now. Their defence has never really been an issue. Maguire's good, but not as good as they think. I think that's their main problem. It's not an issue for them because they've got such a good attacking team in midfield. But I think what's going to let them down in terms of winning things is their defence and maybe the pace that they lack in their defence. Midfield, Pogba, Van der Beek are going to. I think that's going to be a phenomenal pairing because they can both do a bit of everything. And then obviously they've got Bruno and then the three young lads up front. Well, Martial's not young, but the three young lads who play across the front line. I think Champions League again, fourth.
Yeah, I think for me, I think that one's going to be where the fight for maybe them and Tottenham will come in for Champions League. I think they've got that little bit more that's going to tip them over the Champions League edge. I think, again, not really seeing Van der Beek play. I think can't really pin a lot of. You can say you can pin expectation on, but you can't say he's going to deliver straight away. I think Fernandes again. Is it going to be that first full season thing where he's had a good 6 months? What's it going to be like where he's had a full schedule, a full season in the Premier League and Champions League to really come in it and make something of it? If him and Pogba carry on the way they are, then it'll be fine. Got to keep Rashford fit. See if Greenwood carries on the form he is. And yeah, no, I agree. I think they're a team where you're not really going to say much about them. If they get Champions League, it'll be, it's bog standard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nothing special.
Newcastle then, as I said before, I think they're building. I think Steve Bruce has done a great job there, to be completely honest with you. Yeah. But he has had investment, to be fair to him, but considering he was universally hated when he was brought in, I think he's done a solid job there. They didn't re-sign Jetro Willems, which I think is going to be a mistake in the long run, but obviously the transfer window doesn't shut till mid-October, so they've still got time. brought Jeff Hendrick in. He's a grafter. They managed to keep both the Longstaff lads, who I think are good players. Sam Maximan is a tremendous player. It looks like they're getting Callum Wilson. I think the biggest letdown was their goals last season. Defensively, they were quite solid. They just didn't score enough. I think Wilson's going to plug that for them. So I think 11th or 12th. I think they're going to be mid-table, there or thereabouts.
I think like they're going to be like a bit of a dark horse again with Leeds. They're the ones like, if you just again go on Twitter and you see like Jamal Lewis again, he had the bid accepted for him. I think at Norwich last year he was like a decent little left back. I think if you give him time, you put him in the right team and the right manager, he can do stuff. I think Fabian Schär and Lascelles at the back, really, really good centre halves. Dubravka, is it? Dubravka, sorry. Like, again, he's a really, really underrated keeper, in my opinion. I think people don't talk about him enough because he plays for Newcastle.
Yeah.
The whole team, it's got the potential to do something. You've got to keep them all fit. And I think the goals where they lacked massively, as you, again, Callum Wilson, 10 to 15 goal striker. If he stays fit, he's short
for them, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's got players around him that can put a ball on a dime for him. Maximan's he's the playmaker for them. It's all going to go through him. It's going to be, could quietly maybe push a little bit higher than 11th, 12th, maybe go on like a good little cup run. He will be a dark, especially at home. I think at home they are going to be very, very difficult to beat.
Okay. Sheffield United, not really made any additions, but they've got a solid squad from last season. Aaron Ramsdale replacing Dean Henderson, I think, is great. I think Everton should have been all over Aaron Ramsdale. I don't think they're going to do what they did last season because they proved after the lockdown that they just seemed a bit negative. And, Chris Wilder criticised them openly, which, again, I'm not a manager. He's right in what he's saying is that they are Championship and League One players playing at Premier League standard. He will have upset a lot of them by saying that. He also could have put a rocket up them and motivated a lot of the other ones for saying that. So it could go either way. I think they're going to finish like between 9th and 11th. They're going to be one of the other mid-table teams. I don't see them pushing for Europe again. I think they're just going to be comfortable.
Yeah, I think like with them, it's talk about Liverpool burn out. I think they will burn out a hell of a lot quicker. Teams know how they're going to play now, and I think it took teams by surprise, especially like at Bramall Lane now. The way they played with the centre backs become strikers and stuff like that. You can't imagine a 38-year-old Jagielka doing that, blowing up and down week in, week out. As you say, they've only strengthened. I think Ramsdale again. The only major sign they've made. It's not going to be as easy as the way it was last year. But I think because not the bubbles burst, but I think teams now they're going to play the whole we're the new boys in the Premier League. That's gone now, so you've got to maintain it. And I think there's other teams around there who have strengthened. Again, like using us as the example, where they'll come to Goodison and they're not going to be able to just jog through our centre mid because that's gone now because we've got like a solid platform. So it'll be a lot harder for them to break teams. At Bramall Lane, they'll be fine, but when they go away, they're not going to get the same like easiness that they've had this season.
Okay, Southampton. No additions apart from Salisu at centre back, who he's a young lad. He's 21 and good defender from all accounts, but again not proven in the Premier League. If Danny Ings is fit and firing again, which I'm sure he will be, because he's like a Vardy, isn't he? He's just a grafter, and hard work reaps the rewards, and he reaps the rewards of his hard work. The manager's good. I like Hasenhüttl. I like Red Bull Leipzig, as you know. I know a lot of people don't. Hasenhüttl was one of the better things that they did when they brought him through. To manage them, he pushed them up into that second position with Ralf Rangnick behind him. The turnaround that he did after losing 9-0 to Leicester and then going on that massive run that they went on. When they come to Goodison, they played us off the park. They absolutely battered us. I think that they'll do well again. I think.
Yeah.
Sneaking into the European zones, maybe if they can be consistent throughout the season. But if not, they're going to be in that bracket again of between like 11th and 9th.
Yeah, I think with them though, it's all depends on Danny Ings. I think if he isn't firing, they probably will struggle. But again, like so little team, Hasenhüttl. Do you say like after the lockdown, after the Leicester defeat, he turned it around, he played it well. The team get what he wants. And I think again, like a very underrated player in my opinion is Ward-Prowse. I think he needs a lot more recognition for what he does as a player. Is like a ball playing midfielder. Like everyone raves about Maddison. But Ward-Prowse is
his delivery is fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, and set pieces, he is just as good as anyone in the Prem. I think he needs recognition for it. But yeah, I think if Ings doesn't fire, he could be in trouble. If not, it'll be another. There's a lot. I don't want to put like teams in a specific place because I'll be moving wrong. But I think in that mid-table, as you say, 11th to 9th, they're going to be in and around that area. I think.
Okay. Spurs next. Got a new backup in Joe Hart, but I think he's just there for the quota. I think he's there for. Matt Doherty's come in. Really good signing. As good as, if not better than Aurier. Højbjerg's gone in again. Good solid midfielder. The thing that annoys me again, it's going back to Everton, but Everton fans was the snobbery of turning down. I nearly got battered for that picture, but that's another story for another time. The snobbery of the Everton fans to turn their nose up at Højbjerg because he wanted to go to Spurs. I don't blame him for wanting to go to Spurs. I really don't. They're a better team, massive stadium, European aspirations. I've got a world-class manager, as we have, but, they've got a better team all around. I think he'll really do well in that midfield next to Lo Celso, who's a bastard. Højbjerg is a bastard. You watch this All or Nothing documentary, one of the first things Mourinho says to them is they're too nice. Yeah. And now he wants them to be bastards. He's got a team full of bastards there. Son is a twat. Class, but he's a bell end. Kane is Harry Kane. Dele Alli. Jedson stayed for another season. I think they've signed him now. I think they're fifth. I think they're Europa League nailed on.
Yeah, I think like with them, as I say, it's the battle between them and United for fourth and fifth. I think Mourinho's got it. He's got like a good team. He can have a run. I think I always say, he's a bit of a. I have said it in the past, like he's a bit of a dinosaur. I think in his tactics and that, but I think that Tottenham team, he's got a better Tottenham team than what he had when he won the double or the treble with United when he had Zlatan and Pogba that first year. I think that team is a lot better. I think he can get more out of them. Harry Kane will be fit and he scores goals. Like, he's just so beneficial to that team. Lo Celso, I think, I've said it to our mate, he's horrible. I'd love to have Lo Celso on my team.
Yeah, I would.
I think again, I agree with you, like people turning their nose up. I think it's a case of, it's the Europa League versus Champions League because of the badge that's on the chest. You don't want the player. So because you play for Southampton, it's like, well, I don't want to play from Southampton. I don't want to spend 15 million on it. But if he played for Bayern, because he came from Bayern Munich, if they signed him from Munich, Champions of Europe, Bundesliga winners, ran away with everything. It's a different story. I think he looked like a decent player. I think my argument was, when people were doing highlights of him, it was all from 2 seasons ago, it went from last season. So it was like, also, did he not have a good year last year? Like, it didn't get talked about enough, in my opinion. Well, I don't know. I think like when he went to Tottenham, I was like a little bit devastated. I thought we need a player like that. But if Alan, Decore, it kind of supplements it. It balances it out. Doherty, love him. I think him and Arnold is a big fight over the best right back in the league. I think Doherty is really, really up there.
Yeah, I do. I think people are noticing now he's playing for Spurs, though.
Yeah, but like him at Wolves. But again, though, it's because the way he plays as a wing back, does that suit Mourinho's style? Constantly bomb. I know Aurier done it, and he's better defender than Aurier. But it depends on how high Mourinho wants him. Because Doherty played very high at Wolves, so it depends. I think I agree with you. 4th or 5th for me.
West Brom, I think they're gone. Only players they've signed, brought back in Pereira and Grady Diangana. where they got Kipri as well. They got him from Wigan. I think they're gone. I do. I just don't see they've got enough about them. They're not a Premier League standard team. They're a yo-yo team. They're happy going up and down because the money they get them into. They must be minted, you know. Think about the parachute payments they get and then the money for coming back up again because they always end up coming up through the playoffs apart from this season. Up front, Robson Kanu, Kenneth Zaha, Charlie Austin. No. Midfield, Diangana, good player, not done it at the Premier League though. I know there's a lot of taboo about the West Ham thing, which happened with him, and it's a big kick-off with Mark Noble out on the West Ham board, but he's not done it in the Premier League, so you don't know. So I think that was premature on his behalf to make that assumption that he could have done, but you never know. Grzycki did okay at Hull. Raheem Harp was a good little player. Romain Sawyers, again, championship for years and years and years. He's 28 years of age now. He's a championship player, he's not a Premier League player. I think they're gone, to be honest.
Yeah, I think my thing with West Brom is they've always, like, when they have come up, they've always kind of like tried to change approach and change style so many times, but it's never truly fully worked for them. Yeah. I think they had a really good run, like, in the middle of it all, maybe like, early 2010, 11, 12 kind of thing, where they had a decent little team. Shane Long, Chris Brunt, James Morrison, like, they all played well together. So, like, that kind of worked for them. My whole thing is, I don't, again, like the age thing and like where players come from, I don't think that really, I don't know, if they play well, then it doesn't matter where they come from because everyone's going to start somewhere. Yeah. I think, I agree with you, they're just a yo-yo team. I think, Slaven Bilic has proved he had one good year with West Ham. The minute they went to the new stadium and they lost Payet, it fell apart. So if they lose that Pereira, who was a really good player last year for West Brom, they lose him through injury or something. Where's the alternative? Where's the backup?
I think that's why they were so set on getting Diangana back, because he was a big part of Pereira and Diangana make things for them because their midfield aren't creative enough to do it. The wingers are though. So,
but like it depends on how hard, like, if it does work. Coming up this was saying, like, against the Ben White thing, if it doesn't work, like, there's no guarantee that it's going to work. Like, I think, if those two don't fire, then there's going to be issues there. Charlie Austin was good. He's like, what, a 5 goal? He's like Shane Long. He'll get you 1 goal every 4 or 5 years.
It'll be against us.
Yeah, it's not when you want to stay up, it's not good enough. And I think that's where Fulham, they'll go down, but they've got the edge in terms of Mitrovic. So, for me, West Brom, it's just a team to go down. I'd rather have Brentford back in the league. Brentford going up than have West Brom. I think they'll just go back down again.
Okay. West Ham, I think they'll just stay up. No additions. As I say, they've sold Diangana. Moyes is a good manager. He is, despite the memes around him. He's a good, solid Premier League manager. They shouldn't have sacked him in the first place when they first had him. I think they'll stay up. I think they won't be comfortable. I think they'll be like 15th, 16th, but I think they're staying up.
Yeah, I think they've got a good enough team to stay up. I think I've always said it with Moyes, like, we had him on this pedestal of being an amazing manager. He weren't. I think he was like he said, he's a shit, but then he just became mediocre. And I think it was mediocre results. We were finishing 6th in a league where there was only a top 4. There was nothing else. So it was just, I think, easier to finish there. Whereas if he was at Everton now, say with that team in this era, we wouldn't finish anywhere near where we did back then because it's just so much harder. I don't think he's truly fully adapted to that. I think the West Ham board's not helping in terms of investments. They're not giving him the same kind of backing as what they should do. And it's because there's a lot of West Ham fans I've got on Twitter who, they want that board out. I think they will struggle. I think
the only person that they're rumoured to be signing is Ben Rama, isn't it? But again, there's no proof he's gonna.
You don't want to pay the fee though.
Yeah, there's 20 million in it. Like, it's not an awful lot, but they're just not willing to pay it. But they've just got 20 million for Diangana, so.
It's like a Liverpool factor though. It's not to say that they're going to turn around and go, we're just going to immediately reinvest this into this player because they might want to invest it somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? I think it's going to be a struggle. I think they'll stay up. I think there'll be a lot of nervy moments. I think, but when fans are allowed back into games, they will massively benefit from it because they won't want to see their team go down. They'll aim a lot at the board, but then they'll aim a lot of it at the players to, pick them up and to try and get them where they need to be.
Yeah.
I think Chicharito and Arnautovic was just a joke. They should have done everything they could to keep hold of them in.
Apparently, though, they didn't like Chicharito. From I know a few West Ham fans who live down here, and apparently they just didn't like him.
He gets goals though.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's another one. I mean, I wouldn't if Moise Kean, took a shit on the training pitch every day. If he's scoring goals, it wouldn't bother me in the slightest. Keep him.
Okay. So you think they'll stay up as well, yeah, but just not great season.
Yeah, I think they'll struggle a little bit, but I think they'll be okay.
Okay. Next up, then Wolves. I think again comfortable Europa League. They'll be in around there, whether they get it or not. Just once we finish touching on this, I'm going to do my final first Champions League, Europa League relegation. Just a solid outfit, like you said, really good manager. Some good players. I think slapping 40 million on a 17-year-old is probably not the best thing to do. But again, I don't know what goes on behind the scenes there. I don't think anyone does, unless you're involved directly with them. Jorge Mendes has obviously got something to do with it.
I mean, United pay 30 million for Rooney, so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I throw £90 million on João Felix. I think it. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I just think they're going to be there or thereabouts. Yeah. They didn't have quite what it took to push themselves over the line Europa League wise last season, but I put that down to Sevilla having the experience of winning 5 or 6. It's the 6-1 now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I just put that down to that, so I think they're Europa League again. Again, not any massive additions other than Silva for now, but yeah, I think they're going to laugh again. I think that's about it. Yeah. I think there's much more to say on them.
Yeah.
Okay, so quick, nice one for that banner. It's going to be a long video, so if you watched it to the end, then thank you, because we're not experts. We're just two fat Scouse boys just chatting about the footy. So my rundown, I've got City as the winners, Champions League, and going Liverpool, Chelsea, and Manchester United. Actual Europa League, and going Arsenal, Tottenham. I think Wolves might just miss out. And then relegation, I've gone for Fulham, I've gone for Leeds, and I've gone for West Brom.
Yeah, I'd say Europa League would be Tottenham and then Arsenal for me. I think that's the way I'd have it. Because obviously the United one's going to be close, but I think United just might get it. Relegation, Brighton, West Brom, and what else did I say? I forgot.
I think I want to say that you were saying I don't even remember.
Yours came.
Fulham, Leeds, and West Brom.
West Brom, Fulham, and Brighton.
Yeah. Okay. Cup winners. I'm going to say Carabao, Everton, FA Cup, Arsenal.
I'd say Carabao, Everton because I want it, and then maybe Liverpool or United for FA Cup.
Okay, and Golden Boot. We didn't touch on it, but who do you think?
If Aubameyang stays.
Clark Young.
My brother. Yeah. For me, Aubameyang or Mane.
I'm going left field and saying Raul. The Wolves.
You'll get goals, but you won't get.
No.
Nah.
Okay, well. Okay, nice one for that. It was long. I think it was well over an hour. So again, if you stayed, thank you. I'm up for doing these after every round of games, just a little chat about it. I don't know about you. I could get other people on. I could get some of you people on if you fancied it. It's nice one for that. I am still going to do the shirt stuff, but I'm winding it down because it takes up too much of my time and I'm busy. But
pay as well. So if you do want to come on, Matt, we'll pay you. Substantial amount of money.
No, I won't. But yeah, nice one. Again, thanks for watching. Let us know what you think, if you agree or disagree with anything. That's the whole point of these videos. We're not experts. We don't know. We're not categorically stating anything. We're just giving our opinion. But yeah, I'd like to hear from you a lot. But yeah, thanks very much for that. And hopefully I'll see you next week, Tom. And we might be able to talk about what's happened after we've been slapped 72-0 by Spurs and Matt Doherty's got a hat-trick.
Yeah, I'll be drunk and crying, but yeah, gladly.
All right,
Pleasure.
thanks very much. Thanks very much. I'll speak to you all in a bit.
See you in a bit.